What's going on? My name is Joe Lewis. I practice talking on the internet, and I want to talk about a panel that just happened. And my mind's a little fresh, so I want to make sure these ideas get out. So I got some clips. Probably going to be scuffed because I haven't. I just scrubbed to the points where I want to talk about, and I don't like. Usually, I prepare these a little bit better, and I have like some notes there in front of me. I'm just winging it, but hopefully I'm gonna make sense. Professor Sunday's fucking spitting. So let's play what he said, and then we'll talk about like sort of like my elaboration on this take. But he was saying some bars in this opening, and before I got to the rest of this video, because I just started watching it, I want to make sure like I just get this thought out there.
So the title of this panel is What is the Greatest Threat to Progressives? Who is meant by progressives is not specified, so I'll speak very generally. First, it cannot be the behavior of the average progressive individual, whoever that is, as whatever we take progressives as a group to be, it is not a discrete organization, like, for example, a political party, which is capable of being disciplined and made to stick to a policy or a plan. It's a movement, and as such, it's intrinsically atomic and dispersed. Its only firm unifying points are the thought leaders who attach themselves to it. Therefore, as I see it, the greatest political danger, not just to progressives, but really to any movement, is the co-opting of its leadership by mercenary figures who will ride the wave when it appears to be rising, and turn on it as soon as doing so becomes profitable or easy. In this respect, the greatest threat to progressives is the market pressure put upon thought leaders to adopt anti-progressive politics when we are hurtling ever closer to the point of no return with respect to the urgent matters of climate change, social and economic inequality, and the persecution of ethnic, sex, and gender minorities. There. Should be about a minute.
Thank you.
All right. So until you make marginalized people whole political, social, and economic participants in America, our vulnerabilities are just going to be used as a weapon to beat up whatever progressive movement or anything that even is remotely progressive into the ground. Not even into the ground, all the way through the other side of the planet. Like some like the Superman, I think it's Superman Super in Injustice, where he punches somebody through the earth. That's just what's going to happen. And although that's the state of play, we need to be better agitators to recognizing what the state of play is. And we have a lot of things that are kind of against us. Progressives and whatever you believe to be progressive doesn't have ideological power. We don't have any type of like infrastructure, which might be another thing. If you think these two are the same, whether it be infrastructure and power, then cool, put those two together. I'm not in or privy or really care. It's pretty late about the differences of these. And we can talk about that in another video, but just recognize that until we make Black people, Latine people, trans people, all types of folks, and it's going to be contextual and specific based on the group you're looking to target. Until they're whole democratic participants, our vulnerabilities are going to be used against us for progressive politics. And the best example I could give that's a culturally and specific issue is around reparations. So Raphael Warnock was asked directly about reparations, and this motherfucker was asked just about a committee. He wasn't even asked about reparations as a matter of public policy. This nigga was asked about specifically reparations as a committee. And I'm gonna play this whole thing, and then we're gonna talk about it, because this answer sucked.
My question is, it seems that we're always dealing with the symptoms of the problems instead of the bigger issues. And it seems that's one of the issues that could kind of fix all the issues is talking about reparations, and we don't talk about reparations enough in this country. And the last that I checked, the House had gotten the HB 40 passed committee, and as far as I can tell, that's where it stopped. And I know you're in the Senate, so I'm not sure what you can do about that, but I did just wonder what you could do to further that cause in America right now.
What could you do to further that cause in America? And if you could, maybe clarify the House bill. Those are the questions, right? What can you do to push the reparations movement forward? And this answer ain't fucking it.
So there is a bill to study the issue of reparations. Here's what I'm for: equity and opportunity. And I wake up every day fighting for that. And I do it in such a way that I think benefits all of us. But when you look at the issue of health care, for example, if we can get Medicaid expanded, it would help all of us if we could get Medicaid expanded, if we could get a fix. But it would have a disproportionate impact on communities of color because the disparities are so great. When we invest in jobs, when we invest in infrastructure, when we invest in a whole range of these things, when we deal with the expanded child tax credit, which helps 97% of families with children. But when you look at the racial wealth gap, it will be a great help to communities of color and other marginalized people.
This answer just says, I do not support reparations, but I support all these other policies. And if we're looking for advocacy of progressive politics, because reparations is progressive politics and progressive policy, we can't settle for this bullshit. Like, and unfortunately, because we have very poor understanding of how people argue about things from time to time and how they discuss things, people will kind of just gloss over the fact that he answered the question, but he answered the question basically saying, I am not going to bring reparations forward because I have other things that are more important, and I am unwilling to alienate other people by a specific policy around a specific redress around a specific group of people. That's what he's saying. And unfortunately, if we're looking for progressive or progressive politics, that shit we can't settle for. So when you're looking to, let's say you're in a situation where you have to like advocate for Raphael Warnock, and then you get a individual in front of you who says, I'm not voting for this person because they do not support reparations, I don't know. You're going to have to really play some jujitsu to try to convince folks that all of these other things are a better replacement for reparations. Because the thing is that a lot of black people in politics are shitty around reparations, and they're shitty around reparations. Or in this case, and I'm talking specifically about a progressive policy that exists in the context of black people, so we can expand this and look at other examples, but I'm specifically talking about black people for reasons. So another example of this, I'm going to say yes, but not say yes, because I have the most money and the eyeballs, I can just kind of set whatever the narrative is, or believe I set whatever the narrative is, and no one's going to really like interrogate me because there's no such thing apparently as infrastructural accountability, is Stacey Abrams. And this is back in October. So I'm going to read this thread just as is. Why I said yes to reparations, but they heard no. So you already know somebody's on their back foot because they're saying a tweet like this. So if somebody leads with something with some shit like this, they're about to gaslight you. So, and not so brief thread on reparations, my track record and the attempts to distance you from what is matters. She's going to gaslight you. I'm just letting you know this tweet is premier political gaslighting. I recently was asked about reparations in Athens. The sound obscured, but I said yes to reparations. I always have, but I will never mislead black people by pretending this is easy. I've had a whole convo about my position as well as what needs to happen next. Here's the truth. Most of my life, I have fought to deliver tangibles for black communities, and I deeply support and I believe support must be earned. I have fought to deliver hashtag tangibles. Hashtag tangibles, which is a whole nother fucking thing, because that's when you know motherfuckers trying to go viral, when they're putting hashtags in their clarification of where the fight is. And again, like, Stacey Abrams gets a lot of money, and we'll talk about that in a second. Black people have long been the margins of progress and wealth generation in this country. You know, she's now just going to say shit that we already know. As someone raised in the Deep South, my work has consistently focused on closing gaps and centering the needs of black people. Great. Nobody asked about that. 10 years ago, I launched an organization to increase the political power of black people by working together to register 10 million voters in our communities to transform the state of Georgia. But, you know, I guess that means also supporting Michael Bloomberg and taking money from him. But, you know, again, no accountability. So we're never going to be able to interrogate why she thought it was appropriate to get the amount of money that Bloomberg gave to her for her very cause to fight for black people, and how, and you're going to have to really gaslight people and saying that, hey, even though this person is clearly not a progressive, they support whatever I am as a progressive, as it means a progressive policy. You're gonna have to walk through people like that like you're fucking toddlers. Which again goes to President Sunday's point. As governor, I plan to create real hashtag tangible generational wealth in black communities. Under Kemp, it will take 100 years to close the black business parity gap. The black business parity gap, not the wealth gap, but the black business parity gap. Again, she doesn't support reparations. She supports tangibles. Y'all. She supports tangibles with majority firms. I can close that gap by the time your preschoolers go off to college. And you're going to have to walk through with people like they're toddlers in order to connect how closing the black business parity gap is going to matter in the face of generational poverty. You're going to have to walk through black people with that predicament like they are preschoolers, to be very clear about what you mean. But, you know, again, she's got the money, she's got the mic. The pathway towards change lies in reducing over-disciplining of black children in schools, decriminalizing weed, restoring free technical college in Georgia, and supporting our HBCUs. I'm committed to it, and other candidates don't even see these issues as worth their time. But when we're talking about a federal policy in terms of reparations, then all of a sudden I'm going to switch it up about my shit about governor, because I'm being slippery. And I understand what she's doing, right? She has an axe to grind in the context. She's running for governor of Georgia. So I understand all of that context. But she doesn't have to go through a tweet thread just to tell Georgians that she does not support reparations. She doesn't have to do all this wiggling. She can just say it. But again, saying these things is not politically popular. What is politically popular is gaslighting people on their own ideas and saying that this is not good, this is better. And because she has the money that gives her the mic, so she can set the narrative, she can set the politic, she can set the rhetoric around the politic, and there's no accountability to just say, hey, why are you gaslighting us? But anyway, we need a governor that cares enough to reduce black maternal mortality in our state, to protect the Second Amendment and second graders, and have accountability and better support public safety. And you're going to have to walk through people like they're toddlers to get a connect of like, okay, what does protecting the Second Amendment while also protecting second graders look like? And why are you bringing in second graders when you're talking about the Second Amendment? Oh, right. Mass shootings in schools, even though most students in most states usually are dealing with gun violence outside of the school infrastructure itself. So you're going to have to really walk through people about, you know, better supporting public safety, because better supporting public safety might not mean police. So, but again, I'm sure she clarified that what prioritization of public safety looks like. I'm sure she clarified that at this point, right? Anyway, our other communities will no doubt also benefit from more fairness and equity. Excuse me. Again, there's that silly word. But directly tackling our issues shouldn't require denying others. Tackling our issues shouldn't require denying others. What she's trying to say here is, if a racialized injustice leads to a racialized issue, I am not willing to alienate white people at all. I am not willing to do that, even though this is a racialized injustice that is affecting a racialized group of people, and that might require and will require a racialized redress and racialized closure. But if it alienates white people, you know, I can't do that. They're not going to understand. Right? We have too much power to risk to be distracted by false choice battles over crumbs. She's telling you exactly how she feels. She's not in support of reparations. Period. Black voters deserve leadership that sees them, serves them, and believes in them. I am committed to investing in our families and businesses and delivering, again, hashtag tangible benefits to our community. Keep asking tough questions. I will continue to provide real answers and respect during this campaign. I am committed to deliver results. And again, it's not working. So, because she's not serious. Because she's not progressive. And the problem is that when they're like, again, our vulnerabilities are going to be used as a means against progressive politics. And then you'll get situations where she blames black men indirectly. And this is from Bloomberg.com. Stacey Abrams struggles with black male voters in Georgia while wielding national clout. And then within this is that like a third of registered black men haven't voted in years. And then like she's just kind of talking the talk around this. And maybe I'll put this article in the description if I remember when I'm publishing this. But if Stacey Abrams was serious, she would have to really articulate the issue that comes with a third of registered black men who haven't voted in years, and then also translate why that third is such a large number that is going to undermine her politically. She's going to have to walk through that. And she's also going to have to walk through what we can do to galvanize that third to vote for people. But again, it seems like they haven't voted in several years already, if we're taking this title at face value. So she's probably got some other, and Georgia probably has some other structural issues that might be at play. But, you know, black men, vote. And I'm not done dragging her. because she was on The View back in 2020 when Bloomberg gave her money. And again, she is going to and will and did gaslight niggas. So here's her, whatever you want to call it.
Well, Ms. Abrams, 2020 candidate Mike Bloomberg recently donated $5 million to your organization, Fair Fight. And that's the biggest donation you've ever received to date. I've been asking this question about Mike Bloomberg a lot to a lot of people, but I think it's an important question. Given that your goal is to make elections fair, like you just said, with the hundreds of $millions Bloomberg is spending on campaign ads and sort of bypassing primaries and caucuses right now, which is his choice, but I think it's looking like it's not that much of a fair fight. And I think to a lot of people, it looks like if you have billions and billions of dollars, you can buy your way in to popularity into the election. How would you respond to that?
I would separate these out. First of all,
So remember, people give Stacey Abrams a lot of money. We're in the future. We can see it. So let's see what she had to say in 2020. You know, maybe she has some, maybe there's something that we're not quite seeing that maybe she can help clarify when asked directly about it. She's not asking directly about her. There's a lot of subtext about her in it, but you know, The View ain't gonna directly, you know, give a poke there, but they're saying like, hey, you know, you're kind of close to this stick, fam. You good?
First of all, I am grateful to any person who contributes to Fair Fight. We have more than 100,000 contributors. His check just had a few more zeros on it. And we appreciate.
And why is that important? And if you don't think it's important, you're going to have to walk through that like we are toddlers.
That because, as I said, I'm not endorsing anyone. What we are focused on is making sure that the infrastructure of democracy works. My job is to make sure no matter who shows up that they get to vote for whom they want. Mike Bloomberg is running in the same primary with, I think we're now down to 11 candidates. But the reality is the people who are making the decision will decide if they think he needed to run a different race. That's their decision. My responsibility is to ensure that no matter how they decide and what they value, that their vote gets heard.
So she's taking this route of voting, which again, in context, is very convenient. But that stuff matters, especially when we think about how money works in politics. Because when you have money in politics and you throw money at certain issues, that's going to give you leverage. And that's going to give you leverage to set the narrative, to set the rhetoric, to set what people say about certain issues. And marginalized people don't have that. We don't have ideological power. We don't have economic power. We don't have political power. And political independence is going to require economic stability. It's going to require assets, like things that, like tangible things that allow us to be autonomous. And it just doesn't exist currently. And until we take the issues of marginalized people seriously in the context that we find them and recognize that redressing their injustice is going to require specificity, a laser of precision. And that laser precision is going to exclude people. And it's not by means that we don't care about them. Then I don't know. I don't know what to tell you. Like, racialized injustice is going to require racialized redress, which is going to require racialized closure. You can't help black people while giving white people treats while they watch black people's injustices get redress. It's just it's not going to work. You like. Can you imagine the pitfall of walking through trans people? How their injustice and the redress around it, whatever policy, also helps cis people? They get laughed out of the room. Like, imagine if a politician said, this not only helps trans men and women, but it also helps cis men and women too. That shit doesn't exist, because we recognize that particular issues with a group are going to require a redress that involves them almost, if not entirely, them. and we can't give people treats. We can't. We got to stop doing that. And to Sunday's point a bit, like, yes, one of the threats of progressivism is market pressure. One of the threats of progressivism is liberals posturing like progressives and recognizing that because progressives don't have political power, I'm just going to let Bernie Sanders lose in South Carolina twice. And like it's just like it's, I don't know, man. We're gonna have situations where when the liberals come in to advocate for progressivism, they're able, because of their money, because of their influence, and because of their actual tangible power in the democratic process, they're going to be able to reset the narrative and set the rhetoric, the language, what to say, what is a thing, what isn't a thing, and that's dangerous. And I'm curious to hear what you guys feel, and I'm curious about this. And again, like, usually I script these a little bit better, so I'm kind of like, hopefully this was clear. I'm planning to stream tomorrow before the Stupid Bowl, so hopefully I can do a little bit of content creation before I root for the Eagles. But yeah, so in short, Professor Sunday is correct. You have to. Co-opting leadership structures is real, and the market pressures that exist with these things is real, and we have to be cautious of the people who are put in front to talk about these ideas and advocate for these ideas. And if these people talk the talk or sound like they're saying the right things, and they don't actually believe these things, we can't vote for them. And we had to call them out as people as groups of people, and we're not going to have the institution do that. So we can't settle for people willing to gaslight us when we know they're full of shit. But anyway, I'm streaming tomorrow, so put a comment down below if you want to, like, I don't know, have a deeper conversation about this, or even just like what's your thoughts on with this. I understand it's very unpopular to be in favor of President Sunday, but hey, his intro is nice, and you guys are a little bit hard on him, and you got to be a little bit nicer to him, because he doesn't give a shit. So yeah, that's all I got. That's all I got for today. Go Eagles. I'll catch you. When you see this, it'll be tomorrow already, but I'll catch you tomorrow.